Benjamin Rush once said, "Freedom can only exist in a society of knowledge. Without learning, men are incapable of knowing their rights." After today, you will have the knowledge on how this man gave us rights to begin with, and how he aided in the progression of the world as we know it. Benjamin Rush is a very important founding father of the United States, even though he's not as well known as some of the others. He had a key role in the American Revolution and had a significant impact on the American Enlightenment period. He was way ahead of his time for both his beliefs and scientific practices. But above all, he was my great-great-great-great-grandfather. Benjamin Rush was a great man who overcame the odds and helped the advancement of the human race. Benjamin Rush was born just outside Philadelphia and was given to his uncle after his father died when he was just 6 years old. His uncle was a doctor, and this caused him to quickly take a liking to science and medicine. After graduating college, he was appointed professor of chemistry at the College of Philadelphia. He then went on to publish the very first American textbook on chemistry, and was active in the American Philosophical Society and the Sons of Liberty. Benjamin Rush was actually the gentleman who initialized the Declaration of Independence. So really, without him, the world as we know it would not be the same as it is today. He later was selected to be the Surgeon of the Continental Army, then the Surgeon General, and was even appointed to represent Philadelphia in Congress. And as if that wasn't enough, he was even appointed Treasurer of the U.S. Mint, an office which he held until his death. Even though he was a patriot, his most influential aspect was his beliefs and morality, which were way ahead of his time. He jump-started the American Enlightenment movement and advocated for human rights way before it was cool. Benjamin Rush believed that after we signed the Declaration, every human being was not subject to British rules or traditions. He believed that blacks and women need to not only be educated, but should have the right to vote. At that time, Benjamin Rush's beliefs were unconventional. Many southern states relied on slavery to make goods for the war effort, and most men just saw women as caretakers and thought they shouldn't be allowed to even have an education. He wrote letters to other founding fathers, more or less begging them to give minorities and women rights when it was time to make the Constitution. His teachings and beliefs were not widespread until after his death, but his legacy and his morals lived on to become the progressive era of the United States. Benjamin Rush is often referred to as the father of psychiatry, for many reasons. He was one of the few people at the time who believed that mental illness could be treated instead of the traditional thought that there were demons inside of you. He was even an innovator in the yet-to-be-established field of occupational therapy. He would encourage his patients to sew, garden, listen to music, and even exercise, which at that time was pretty revolutionary. He extensively worked on the poor, and even advocated for government institutionalized medicine, something that wasn't even enacted until over 200 years later. He believed everyone should have access to health care, even the poor, and he told everyone that education and freedom go hand in hand. He also preached to just be a good all-around person. He once said, "Without virtue, there can be no liberty." And when he would give medical lectures, he would command the doctors help the poor, even if they aren't able to pay. He is even credited with trying experimental procedures like purging and bloodletting, which meant that some of the patient's blood were to be let out, slightly drained, and this relieved many ailments. Although no data has shown anything confirming that it works, it was common practice at the time. Rush is also credited for the tranquilizing chair, which was a humane alternative to the straitjacket. It held patients' arms and legs while slightly restricting blood flow, and this made it very hard for the patients to have violent episodes, because the brain wouldn't be able to get enough oxygen if they were to get mad and their capillaries were to expand. But perhaps his most influential work was Observations and Inquiries upon the Diseases of the Mind, which he published in 1812. This was the first psychiatric textbook printed in the United States. Now, in conclusion, Benjamin Rush was a very important founding father, even though he wasn't as well known as others like John Hancock and Ben Franklin. He had a significant role in the American Revolution and had a significant impact on the American Enlightenment period. He was way ahead of his times for his belief in scientific practices, but above all, he was my great-great-great-great-grandfather.